Have you not listened to your elders, my friend?
I've listened to the elder, but I don't listen to.
Okay, you have.
Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast with 3 generations of KISS fans telling you why we love it loud. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, the KISS podcast with uno, dos, tres, 3, like 3 lives. That should be a favorite number. You know why you clicked on this. 3 generations of KISS fans to tell you why we love it loud. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Myers. Welcome to episode 62. You know what this is. You clicked on it. It's the month of September, and this episode comes out the day before all of these albums were released. It is the 1978 Peter Criss KISS solo album episode. Before we go any farther, you got a hold of us on all of our social media outlets at X at RB, or we'll try that again. 3, 2, 1 at X at RBTE podcast. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Right Between the Eyes podcast. We're on Instagram. You can email into the show, and that'll be something we'll talk about here very soon at Right Between the Eyes podcast at gmail.com. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. And if you listen on Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever they're calling it, or all of your podcast catchers, rate, leave a review of the show, and we will read that on here, and that'll also come into a future episode very soon. Like I said, I'm one of your hosts, Rob Myers, and I would not do the show without my 2 brothers in this band, Nick and Nico Caruso. How are you guys doing this evening?
Really good. So this is number 3 for us, right?
This is number 3. We have done Paul Stanley. We've done Gene Simmons. And now we're up to Peter Criss. That only leaves 1 more.
Did you plan it? Because 3 is Peter's favorite number. Remember that?
Yes, I did. As I had the list up, I thought Peter has to be the 3rd one that we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. The old Catman. Yeah, I'm excited about this. Pete was my favorite from the get-go. And things change a little bit here and there. You go waver a little bit, but I still love the Catman. Love him.
And this was the first time I ever listened to this album. So that was so I was able to do it front to back twice, and why don't I just say we will get into it? Absolutely. But I'm happy to be back. I'm excited.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty biased, but I feel like every episode we've done has been incredible, but this one,
yeah,
it smells like potential.
I can't wait.
In the KISS world, right, Rob? It's been really silent, right?
It's been silent. I mean, Gene's been out there. Paul just opened up. Gene's been touring, out in the UK and all that stuff. But they just opened up another Rock and Brews, and Paul was out there doing. At the time we're recording this, I can't remember exactly where it is. It'll probably scroll somewhere on the screen, but it's kind of cool seeing Paul out there. And I just saw a video. I think it was recently that Phil Collin and Joe Elliott went to the warehouse and were looking at guitars and stuff like that.
That was
I thought that was kind of cool.
And then Paul was promoting. He's on Behind the Set List. I didn't listen to that podcast, but
no,
he's I didn't even know really what it was, but he's all excited about it, Paul.
And we've been kind of hit and miss throughout the summer getting our feet back on the ground, but tip to the hat to our brothers over at Shout It Out Loudcast. The boys released a book, Raise Your Glasses, and it is like gangbusters. It is the number 1 rock book being sold on Amazon right now. Everybody and their brother has it, but sadly, I've been so busy moving with the parents, and I keep going, I need to order this thing. So Tom and Zeus and Joey, tip to the hat to you guys. It's great. Xander just had the guys on. So raise our glasses to Shout It Out.
I didn't see that yet. I got to watch that, but that's awesome. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I have to get that. We have to get that. What a cool project. And the fact that it's sounding like that, kudos to them. That's you always love to see good people succeed,
Absolutely. And you love to see the KISS that it still generates a buzz, and there's still an interest for that. So that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Now, because we also are an honorary The Warning podcast as of this past summer,
that's right.
We have to get at least one small topic in to keep the fans here. They were at the VMAs last night. They were nominated for. It's like something with a performance, MTV Push Artist Performance. They did not win, but they were there and they looked awesome. And it was cool to see them. They were getting a lot of it was cool. when like Variety and all those news outlets were doing the red carpet, and I tagged RBT on Twitter. They had their own like spot, like they showed them coming in, taking pictures, and so that was cool to see like Variety, tweet about the warning. They will be in Chicago Ride Fest next weekend. Unfortunately, I will not be able to go, but it's okay.
Okay.
And I'm just going to plug something. I should say plug something that I'm going to get to do that I'm just over the moon about. I got tickets last night for Dream Theater's 40th anniversary tour. This is
That's cool.
First tour in 13 years with original drummer. This is like getting Peter Criss and Ace Frehley back in the band. Huge fan of Mike Mangini, who helmed the drum seat for 13 years. He's one of my favorite drummers, but there's something kind of cool about Portnoy. So
Portnoy's back. That's awesome. That's great.
Going to Cleveland. It's in March, so I got about 6 months, but my wife did her wizardry magic and found a pre-sale code because the tickets go on sale tomorrow, Friday, the time you're watching this.
That's
and she's like, hey, I've got this pre-sale code. And I'm like, let's go. So
good for
not to like sidetrack one more thing, but if you don't get the pre-sale code now,
dude,
trying to go to shows is a nightmare. It's either too expensive or the options get scalped and bought,
or your seats are like this.
Yeah. And like for most people, and I would say sure, like the mileage varies. Like I'm seeing some really small artists in the next 2 months who are playing at venues that are just hundreds of people. Yeah, those aren't hard, but like even like here, like to get tickets something at like the Aragon Ballroom, that's what, Dan, like 4,000 or 5,000 people. I mean, they go like this, and it's really hard to go to concerts right now.
You can't wait. I messed up with the Sammy Hagar, the Best of Both Worlds tour, because I didn't want to pay for them so far ahead of time, and I didn't want to do that. And I didn't realize that show had such demand that up until the final day, tickets were $300, $400, $500. So
yeah,
you are absolutely right. You have to do that. You have to be in at the beginning if you really want to go. Otherwise, you're playing that game, and if the demand is there, you're just not gonna win.
I got section 3, seat 1 in the first row of section 3, so I'm really stinking close to the stage. But had I waited till tomorrow to get the tickets when they went on sale for the general public, all those seats had been gone.
Fine.
And the seat that I'm actually in is wheelchair accessible, so it's actually a larger.
Let me ask you, if you don't mind me asking, what was it face? Would you pay for it?
128.
That is about that. That's fair to me. Similar artists, even like I would get the pre-sale code in like the 100 level, like where we sat when we saw Kiss the last time. A seat like that for some of these artists, they start at like 199. I'm like, come on, like 225 for these 100 level. I'm like, no. That's the other thing. The face has went up,
If a U2 comes, that seat's going to start at 300.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, which is abysmal.
Start at 300.
And you brought up something too, Dad. And I mean, Rob, you got the tickets and you're excited, but also like, man, you have to really commit to wanting to see someone like months in advance. Now we're like shit, and I know like that's how it's always been. But like last night or not 2 nights ago, me and my sister saw Avril Lavigne, and which was really fun. It was her greatest hits tour. She was like one of my first crushes when I was like in elementary school. But then, as I got older in my teen years, her older stuff was kind of my vibe. But anyway, shout out to the OG pop punk princess herself, Avril Lavigne. We bought these. So it's September. I think I bought these tickets in like March or April.
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably even earlier than that. Like it came this week and I'm like, oh my God, I have that show on. I have that show on Tuesday. I forgot about it,
But you got to commit the money early. That's the whole thing.
And
you don't want to run the card. You're like, do I really want to tie up $600-$700 on a card? But
and then we got a hotel. With that, the wife's going to go to the. She's not going to go to the show. Drop me off. I'll go do my thing. Blah blah blah. And come back.
Sure.
But, trying to commit to that, and then in the back of your mind, you go, "This sounds morbid to say, like, I hope nobody dies. I hope there's not an event, you
Yeah,
know.
right.
I mean,
Exactly right.
that's not like I'm putting a concert over that, but you don't know what life's going to hit you. Like, oh,
That's
I lost my job. Now I'm working nights. Now I can't, you know, all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. When you're talking 6 months out, life can throw some serious curveballs in six
Ain't that
months.
the truth? Ain't that the truth, brother?
Well, all I know is we're not going to be tossing and turning. And,
No.
you know, I just want somebody to tell me that they matter to me.
Yep.
And that's why when we come
Right.
back after this little break, we're going to talk the 1978 Peter Criss solo album. We'll be right back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. All right, my lovely babies, we'll go back to Nick, Nico, and Rob from RBTE in just a moment, but this is ROB on WRBTE. Going to give you some hot, fresh information that just came off of the press. So this is what we just got here. It's good old 1978. I move my lava lamp around just a little bit so I can read to y'all. This is what we got here. Peter Criss is the first solo album by, of course, one Peter Criss, or as you know him, Peter Criss Cola. Peter is the drummer for the hard rock American band Kiss, and is one of the 4 solo albums released by the members of Kiss on September 18th, 1978. You know it to be true. But under the Kiss label, coming out alongside Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, and Paul Stanley. The album was produced by Vincent Poncia, and who went on to produce Dynasty and Unmasked for the said formation of Kiss. That's right. 4 tracks, I'm Gonna Love You, Don't You Let Me Down, and That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes, and Hooked on Rock and Roll were originally written for the 1971 for Criss's pre-Kiss band, Lips. Criss also covered Tossin and Turnin, which you know that's a smoking of a show, a smoking song on a show, you know what I mean. It was a #1 hit by Bobby Lewis in the U.S. during the summer of 1961, and the song was subsequently covered by Kiss on the 1979 Dynasty tour, or if you're in Australia, you know they say Dynasty. The reviews for Peter Criss were mostly negative, unfortunately. In retrospect, the assessment from AllMusic called it the most undistinguished bunch of lacking hooks on either the pop, metal, or power ballads, as well as personality throughout. Oucha. In the rankings of Kiss's entire discography, Eduardo Riviera of Loudwire magazine would write that Peter Criss's album came in last in the whole entire discography. He would also go on to say, it was also interpreted as a cry for help after many years in the relentless charging Kiss machine, but it was nothing like the choruses of help cried by ensuing fans who bought up this sub-yacht rot debacle. And he added, while the 1978 Kiss solo albums were meant to be space for each member to just be themselves, Criss clearly misread the memo and just decided to be Barry Manilow instead. Oh, baby. Ouch. Instead of creating an album that leans heavily on the ballads and the R&B sounds of previous groups, even considering that he simply doesn't have the songwriting talent or the charisma to front an entire album. Paul Elliott of Classic Rock magazine would write the following: a fan of pop and soul music turned MOR crooner on the lightweight toe-tapping tunes such as Don't You Let Me Down, That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes, and the ballad Can't Stop the Rain, the best song for how it suits Criss's raspy voice. But nevertheless, he wrote that the title of the worst album made by any drummer belongs to Keith Moon, and Peter Criss comes in second. Ouchie baby, ouch. So let's get back over to the boys at RBTE and let's go through this 1978 Kiss classic. Hold on, baby. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. I'm ROB and WRBTE. Okay, we're back here as Rob's doing a lot of fancy editing, cutting because he's flying off his seat, not following his notes. So like we said at the top of the show, this is the third one of these that we've done, and we kind of fell into the Ace Frehley one. We had Brant on that one. And there was a whole problem with the computer about a year and a half ago where I lost the Ace Frehley episode. So I put like a temp file up there, like, hey, this is the Ace Frehley episode. So if you want to go back and you missed it, the original Ace Frehley episode we did with Brant, that is up there now. And we had Jeans last year. So I thought it would just be fitting to do all these one every year right around the time of the release and kind of really make it a celebratory thing. So we're going to do a 9. And then just to refresh everybody's memory, we're going to each of us pick 3 songs from the album, because once we finish Paul's, we will then do a combined 9 of all of our favorite songs. So I'm going to milk these solo albums for all that they're worth here.
And then when these are done, we have like Live to Win, right? And we have like Asshole, and we've got a couple that we can,
from Ace, and we've got Peters.
Right. So
we'll just keep going.
I forgot about the 3 song thing.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Sounds like that might be an issue.
So just really quick, this was recorded between April and July 1978. Again, they were all released on September 18th, 1978. So
what
let's
quick turnaround. I'm always amazed back then how they.
Yeah.
Now it takes guys like 3 years to put an album out.
Right. I mean, can you imagine if Kiss were putting out albums today in this era, and they're going to put out 4 albums all at the same time? Sometimes it's hard enough to get one album to come out, but trying to mass produce 4 in the quantities that they did is just staggering. I've got a copy back there. There's a discount sticker, and it said it was $2.99 discounted at Sam Goody or something like that way back when or whatever. But so I kind of want to go around the room like we did with Ace and Jeans. Let's start with Nick, and we'll make Nico go last. What was your introduction to the solo albums? Who did you buy first? And then just your kind of 1,000-foot view of Peter Criss.
Yeah, I mean, I was like hook, line, and sinker. A huge fan. Live 2 comes out. That was like, oh my God, that was like so fascinating to me to get that album. And so I was at Musicland with the big display the day these came out, and I got all 4 at one time. It was not a choice. It was not. I was only going to get one or whatever. I was very lucky. My parents were good. My mom was good, and she took me there, and I got them all. And at that time, Peter was always my favorite, and I loved the color green, and I just loved what it looked like. I loved them all, but I was partial to his caricature, the album cover. Peter was my favorite guy because when I saw them first on the Midnight Special and they did Black Diamond, I just was like, at that time, I never really saw like a drummer sing. I don't know why, but I wasn't an Eagles fan, so I didn't know Don Henley sang and stuff like that. So that struck me with that whole show, and then he kicking the drums over. And so Peter was always my guy. And then he had Beth, and Beth was so big. Beth was like the song that got them the People's Choice Awards, national TV. I was able to sit there and watch it, and everybody was watching back then. And because we Nico, you see all these award shows now and stuff, but back then, like, they were big. Like, there was nothing else to watch. So those award shows were huge. Like, now we make fun of the Oscars a little bit and the Grammys, and nothing's like it used to be. But back then it was a big event. So it was a very, and I had no clue at that time either that like there was dissension in the group and they had to do these to keep everybody. I didn't know. I just thought it's a great thing. They did the comic book, Kiss Alive 2. Now they're going to do solo albums, and then they're going to come back and they're going to continue on.
Mine, I've got 2 histories with it. My best friend Ben and I, you discovered Kiss, like I said, through Hot in the Shade, and kind of bought the albums in random orders. Well, then in 97, they decided they're going to put out the Kiss catalog for CD, put all the original artwork and all the bells and whistles and gimmicks in it. So, Nick, you probably know this, like getting cassettes, like there was no uniform in how the cassettes looked. Like, oh, your cassette might be white, might be clear. The solo album might be all black, but the bottom is white, and they all looked just haphazard. So to get the CDs and get all the liner notes and everything, and then it opening up with the poster and all of that stuff is really cool. And we'll talk about the artwork and all that like we did.
Ooh.
So this was really cool, and to know that the posters all connect and everything. So the reissues was a big event in and of itself, but to get all 4 solo albums, I remember because they were staggering, like I think they were releasing 4 albums at a time. So to get all 4, it kind of felt like that time, like the solo albums were released again at the same time. I bought all 4 of them, and I'm setting them up and treating them like tiles, like which one do I want to have at the top and this, that, or the other. And then really digesting Peters for the first time on CD, and just hearing how to my ears back then, just how crisp it sounded. Cause I had a really crappy cassette player, and go, oh wow, this it sounds really good. We'll get into what it sounds like, but yeah, so I feel like I had 2 histories with it, but every now and then pulling the CDs out just kind of takes me back to 97, going, I'm going to get the solo albums as they were intended to be heard. So Nico, your history with the solo albums, especially Peters, I think is probably small.
Very small. Yeah, 2 hours old with Peters, and whenever we did Jeans, that was the first time. And whenever we did Aces, there were a couple of songs I knew, but I never listened to the whole thing. And I'm a big Paul Stanley guy, so I'm actually very familiar with Mr. Stanley's, with Paul's. So that when we get to do that'll be more fun. But no, because I always remember on my Kiss journey, Dad, it's not that you stopped, but when I went through my Kiss journey, you did tell me, like, this is when it starts, getting hairy, and their solo stuff, especially Peters, is something I was never drawn to. I was into a couple of the albums after this, because of like some of the shows at the end of Kissology 2, like the Unmasked show and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have I'm thanking Right Between the Eyes for diving into all 4 of the albums. So now, with as much I know the Star Child so well, that now I could say I have opinions and digestion of all 4.
That's cool.
And that's all I could say for now.
Right.
Well, let's just get into it. I just love it when someone says, I'm gonna love you. This is written, I'm trying to not to put on my cheetahs, but this is written by Peter Criss and Stan Pendridge. Yeah, I'm saying that right. Comes in, I want to see the running time of this album really quick, because they all kind of vary in length. So this is 34 minutes and 39 seconds. I listened to this twice at work, the whole album, and I was surprised how fast it went by. I'm like, man, I'm at song 10 already. Whereas Jeans, I felt like, man, we're still going with Jeans album. So I'm gonna love you. Nick, let's start with you.
Again, so I started listening to this album mowing the lawn over the weekend, played it a couple times, and I like this first track. It reminds me a little bit of Bob Seger. Nick don't know Bob Seger, but you do, Rob.
Oh,
Bob
yeah.
Seger. It's got a little bit of that sound to me. I like I kind of like when it goes into the chorus. It's kind of different. It goes like in a different melodic way than you think it's going to go from where it starts. I love Peter's voice. I mean, I always have. I think it's great. It's not a complex song. It's a pretty simple song. But I listened to this about 3 times because I was trying to think, do I really like it, or am I just like it? But again, I dig the tune. It's got a nice tempo to it. It's very dated. The one thing about this album is that it does sound very 1970s, and a lot of stuff on here. And I don't mean to criticize these groups like the Grand Funk Railroad, and there was another one I had on my mind. I knew I was going to forget, but it's got little sounds like that a little bit, and not so much Rod Stewart like Hard Luck Woman. I don't pick up a lot of that on this album. Like, a lot of people
Yeah.
think Hard Luck Woman, obviously he wrote it for Rod Stewart. That could have been a Rod Stewart song. But this song, I don't remember. It was just until about a week ago I started listening to it that I remembered this song and thought, yeah, this isn't a bad tune. It's not it's a nice opener. It's okay. It's pretty good.
Something that I'll say about it, I think I said it about Ace and Jeans too. Looking at it before I first heard it, like, oh, this is the drummer's album. Man, it's gonna have thunderous drums. It's gonna sound like Black Diamond. It's like all these preconceived notions, and putting that needle or pushing the cassette tape in for the first time. I remember looking at it going, but this is Peter. Like I couldn't wrap my head around.
Did he drum on the album?
Yes, he drums. So his credits are lead vocals, drums on all songs.
Okay.
I like how they do this. Drums on all songs except songs 6, 7, and 10.
Okay.
Question. So 10 is the ballads. What is 6?
Yeah.
Easy Thing, and what I say 7. So Rock Me Baby, he doesn't play drums on, but so yeah. This was a song when we get to the 9, I was kind of like flirting with it. Because there's 2 songs on here that, this is a stretch to say, that almost don't feel like they belong on this album. And this one I think this one sonically has a different feel than everything else does, just by the way that it starts and the way the guitar is. Once you move through the rest of the album, the guitars kind of mellow out a little bit. The guitar in this one's a little bit more ferocious, where I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then it becomes not that album through the remaining 9 songs. But I do like this one. And when it starts, I'm like, do I like this one? And as it goes, I'm like, oh yeah, I dig this one. So Nico, I'm gonna love you.
And I always love you, Rob. You know, it's funny. I'm glad you both have touched on this. So this album was my thoughts on the whole album are also summed up with how I feel about this first song. Mostly. I wrote, it doesn't feel like Peter. So I'm not going to say I was like set up, but I definitely was like, I think you both gave me enough of like, this is going to be interesting for you, which I appreciated actually, because I think it actually helped me zoom out. This song starts, and when I was able to remove that it was Peter Criss, I really enjoy it. I'll be honest. I think it's I could see like an older film opening up with this, like something fun.
Mm-hmm.
When I look back at the screen and I see the Catman, I go, what the hell am I listening to? And I think where these solo albums, not all of them, where 2 of the solo albums went so wrong, is this was not the way to experiment. They should have used different cover. Like so right away there's a disconnect for me. Rob, I'm gonna amplify something you say. This one also, when you listen to the whole album, on top of what I just said, also feels like this does belong somewhere else. So all that being said, I think it's a pretty decent song. And when I listened to the album again, I was very fond of it on its second playthrough. Treating it, because I like Peter's voice, I like the chorus, treating it as like this 70s rock song, as opposed to this being a Peter Criss song. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think so. Let's move to track 2. And, Nick, You Matter to Me, written by
and that's why.
Vinnie Poncia and John, I'm going to butcher all these names, John Vastano, if I'm saying that right. Vinnie Poncia is really synonymous. He produced, the album for Peter, if I'm saying that correctly. I believe he did. Yes. And, he ends up producing Hot in the Shade, or writing songs on Hot in the Shade. I'll take the start with this one. I dig this one. I almost kind of wish this was the opening track. This feels like this song is going to come on right after a Barry Manilow song in the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah, that's
And
right. Right about that. Yeah.
it just has a cool little swagger to it. But again, I'm going to echo with what Nico says. The whole entire time going, this could be somebody else's 70s easy listening yacht rock album. And then you catch a glimpse of the cover and you go, that's the dude from Kiss. So Nick, you matter to me.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, first and foremost, I think Peter. I think the first thing is that Peter's kind of going to his roots with this album, and it's a very anti-Kiss album, right? It's got nothing to do with Kiss. There isn't a track on here that sounds like it could be on any Kiss album, and I applaud him for that because they all, the other three guys kind of stayed a little bit truer to who they are, as the Kiss group was, and deviated a little bit. But Peter just, he's a jazz drummer, Gene Krupa, the legendary drummers, Rob, Buddy Rich, but even that's not on there. But it's more the jazz roots and the R&B, if you will. Some of that. It's not that I hear Motown on here, but some influences of that. So it's really Peter's the oldest guy in the group. I mean, I wouldn't have been shocked that there would have been like some Sinatra on here, but there really isn't. I was always thinking like he could have did like a quasi Sinatra cover or something like that. But this song, when the commercial used to air and they showed the 4 albums, there was an old commercial. Nick, we got to track it down one day on YouTube. And you heard New York Groove, Radioactive. I think Paul's was Hold Me,
Touch Me. Yeah.
And this song, and you matter to me. And that's why
I love the keyboard in this.
It was the best one on the commercial.
Yeah.
When I saw the commercial, because she's radioactive, back in the new. But when this came on, it like caught me. So now that I listen to it, because I haven't listened to it for a while, it's very dated. It's got that very 70s synthesizer that kind of opens. And this is a song that could probably be redone and it would sound a lot better with some modern technique to it. But it's got a good chorus. And it's very simple, but I really dig this song because this was the lead song. So when I got the album and I played it, and this was number 2, it went nowhere. It wasn't a hit or anything, but this to me was the song that Peter promoted. Peter put this out there, or at least his team did.
Yeah.
On the Casablanca commercial. So I really like the song. This song sounds like it is a fitting song of the time. You stole my thought of yacht rock, but 70s, all that stuff, all that stuff that was on there. Like you said, Barry Manilow, Bob Welsh, all those guys that were putting solo songs out. It's a song of the times.
Yeah.
I would love to hear, and he'll never do it. I don't know if he ever did it live. He probably did. Probably no recordings, but I would love to hear like a loose band version of it. It probably sounds crunchy and a little harder, and it's pretty good. But you cannot, Nico, no matter what you say about this song, I don't care because I dig this song.
You will both always matter to me. Here's where on this show, I am fully going to own a potential loss of credibility and risk of sounding incredibly ignorant. Because I respect, Dad, you said something. I respect how different he went. I really do. I laughed before when almost every song started because I'm like, each song, I'm like, I was waiting for something to sound like, anything, right? Anything. I was just trying to like name one of the kids, and I would try to find like a more specific one, like anything, like a Baby Driver, like anything, right? And when it comes to this song, so here's what's hard, and I won't do this on any of the other tracks. I'll be a lot more brief. I was doing the whole, I respect this, I admire this. And I do know that this is where his roots are. And then I go, but man, with just my digestion and my taste, like I'm like, this is supposed to be a Peter Criss album. And maybe this is the most authentic Peter Criss album that's true to him that exists. But for me, like this song comes on, and I'm sorry, I think it's ass. I think it's ass. I mean, I'm sorry. I think it's ass. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm
No,
so
it's
sorry.
okay, dude.
I was halfway
It's
through this song and I was gonna jokingly text you both and say, like, I just can't do the show tonight. I just can't. I'm glad I finished, and no disrespect. I can see how it's
no
enjoyable.
disrespect, dude.
I do like the keys. I do. So like I'm having this internal battle of I really respect how different and unique this is for Peter. And then the other side of myself is going, ass. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. So,
and I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but it felt
No,
right
that's okay.
for that first
You
time.
gotta be honest, man.
you got to be
Listen,
honest.
We have to be honest. We always are on this show. I'm not gonna say that.
Well, I'm just betting this album probably had you tossing and turning. Michael Morgan also is a co-writer, but there's a lot of songs that have a lot of co-writes in it. This one, if I don't know if Nico, you know, this is a cover tune, and I would have had my notes.
Yeah.
We've got the screen really scrunched up here. This is where Rob's going to edit for time. Criss covers "Tossin' and Turnin'," which was a #1 hit from Bobby Lewis. I should have known that.
Yeah.
During the summer of 1961, the song was this song was subsequently covered by Kiss on the 1979 tour for Dynasty. So this song did get played live, and I really think "You Matter to Me," or "You Matter to Me," and then "Don't Let Me Go Down" were the two singles released off the album. And I half wonder when it came time to like, we're all going to do one of our songs live. I was imagining Paul and Gene were like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, "Tossin' and Turnin' was a hit.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's about the only one they could pull off.
and it's so I'm almost trying to review it, seeing Kiss do it. Hearing Paul and Gene trying to do the high parts of "Tossin' and Turnin'," like it sounds so bizarre.
Yeah.
There's another song that if I was the manager for that tour, I would have said, Peter, you do this one, because this is one that is the atypical song that people are thinking you're going to do, but we'll get there. So "Tossin' and Turnin'," this was one I could take it or leave it. It's one that doesn't do anything. Like, I was familiar with the song from my, grandparents playing, music of the time. And I was just always kind of like, eh. So it's written by Rich Adams and Malou Renee. So Nick.
Yeah, I mean the original song's a classic. It's been in a lot of movies. You've heard it again on some soundtracks. It's my parents know the song. Yeah, it's a nod to Peter's past. It's something he wanted to cover. The background singers, and now we're going to get into some of this background singer stuff, and it sounds cheesy on a lot of these upcoming tracks. And certainly this is a very forgettable song. There's nothing memorable about this. Having said that, it is a song that the band was going to play live, and it's not a secret or a surprise to me that this would have been the one that Gene and Paul were like, they're all negotiating who's going to play what, and I got to have one. So he got it. But yeah, this is nothing. I will never really come back to this song. If they ever put a Dynasty off the soundboard out, I'm sure I'll listen to the live version, but there's nothing particularly good about this. He's having some fun. It's a song he wanted to cover, and Ace covered "New York Groove," which was a better song. It wasn't well known, and he kind of made it his own. This is just the third song on an album. That's how I look at it.
Nico.
Yeah. No. So I learned that it was a cover thanks to Apple. I was doing some reading as I was listening to it. Then I listened to the original version, and it's, Grand Canyon superior level. No, I like, it's terribly fine. Like it was like it came on and it would compared to the one that just happened that
So
we all
you
know.
would rather hear this
Over You Matter to Me.
over
Yes.
You Matter to Me.
Yes.
Surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, I did listen to the original version as well.
Good.
And I think that's what I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm answering
That's
that way.
it.
And like Peter's is like a poor man's version where I'm like, oh, he tried,
Yeah. Right.
But at least it was a little bit more oomph than
Oh yeah, dude, it's
Matter to Me, which
I couldn't sleep at all last night. Yeah.
I
You
respect.
can hear it in his voice, like, oh, I like this song. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
This felt like I was getting a little bit. This is the first song where I felt like I was getting a taste of him, like in Kiss. That's in my opinion. I was like, okay, like this is. There are doses of Peter Criss that I know I can hear him in spots.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't You Let Me Down. Track 4. This is one like
No.
I feel like I'm down. I feel like I'm going to say this a lot, but this is where the album takes another step down or does a turn where you're like, okay, we were kind of here and we're going here. So this one just like puts the whole brakes on the car. Not that it was moving that fast to begin with. And we get this, like, I picture him being on almost like instead of doing Beth, he's like, hey, I'm going to do one more song. After Beth, he's going to kind of croon this one out. And I feel like I don't want to say he's reaching for a Sinatra. There's somebody I can't think of around that time frame where he's trying to emulate, and it just doesn't. It starts off with me going, my God, the song is long. And then by the end of it, I'm like, that's not so bad. That's okay.
It's funny you say that. There's a few songs on this album that start out like bad. You're like, oh, but I don't know. They kind of grow on you as you're listening.
Yes, that's what I was trying to.
Another guy was trying to mention was like a Boz Skaggs, right?
Okay, okay.
Like a little bit, all those 70s guys, all those guys that were around Seeger, Skaggs, Bob Welsh. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything sounds like Steely Dan, but a little Fagan. And Peter's got some range. He's got the falsettos. He's doing some stuff on here. You never hear him doing Kiss. His voice is actually better than I gave him credit for. I think he's actually a decent singer on this album. This is again a song that it's not particularly good. It gets saved a little bit, but we're starting that kind of like every other song is like a little up tempo, then low temp, then a ballad, and then it'll go up tempo, and then it's a weird. It becomes weird. It's just there's a pattern that actually starts with the first song.
Yes,
but yeah, Don't Let Me Down or Don't You Let Me Down, Baby. I'm not. I don't know that I'll ever. I know Nico's got this on a playlist, right? Do you have this?
Yes, if the playlist was called ass. If the playlist was called ass.
Can I see your phone? Is it just saying?
But let me tell you something though.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something though, because even though I think it's ass, I had a very gorgeous experience with this song.
Really?
And I'm honestly telling you the truth. I wish you could have been with me for my listens of this album, because both times we're in the car at night. My commute home for work is about 45 minutes or so. And I work out in the suburbs, but I live in the city of Chicago. And on my way home, I'm on the highway. And I work later hours. So when this song came on the first time, it was last night I was driving home. And I was the only car on the highway because I work later hours. I was in the car at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And as this song came on, I was close to the city. So I'm on the highway, but you start seeing it. And the song felt very romantic to me. I'm serious. I felt like he was in the car with me, like serenading me, like
Doing a lot.
making my
He was
return
doing
to
a
the
bump.
city.
He was doing a bump, I think.
Making
It was like-
right, like so for a moment I laughed because I'm like, this feels like it's in a romantic comedy in the late 70s. And for a couple moments there, I romanticized the experience. Other than that, I think the song is ass.
He got out of his car and was like, "What the hell was that?"
Peter.
It almost just sounds like you need some sugar because I think that's what
Oh.
Papa likes.
Oof.
I do like the whole
Yeah.
"I don't know you, I don't need you." I do like this song, and 2 minutes and 59 seconds. I was gonna say it's the shortest song on the album, but there's one little shorter. And as some people bag on this song, this is one I was like, okay, I can hear the jazz influence, the big band influence in it. I love his ride cymbal work towards the tail end of the outro of the song. Like you alluded to earlier, Nick, the backing girl chorus really shows up in this,
Really,
and they're in
yeah,
full
yeah.
force. But it kind of has a little swagger. And I gotta be perfectly honest. There are two songs when I was making like an Ultimate Kiss mixtape back in the day. I usually put this one on. I wanted one from every guy's solo album, and this one another one I would kind of toss and turn over which I was going to put on. And I always kind of dug this one. And this would go into an episode of a show I want to do sometime. It's going to be called I'm Not Supposed to Like That. And the
Yeah.
more people I would say, like, "Oh my gosh, what a horrible song this is," I'm like, really? I always kind of dug it. So
That's
how
a
do you
fun idea. That's a fun idea.
yeah,
I really like that idea.
cool. Nick, do you like
Yeah,
Sugar?
I mean, this song is
Not Def Leppard.
again, vocally, I like what he's doing. He's playful on it. It is Peter to me. Like I'm 5 in right now, and I understand it's what he's doing with the song. You know, lyrically, again, it captures that dated vibe of that time and innuendos and sugar and certain acronyms and all that. I agree with you. I think that musically the tempo is good. But again, I'm not a particularly big fan of this song. It's okay for me. The lyrics are with some of their songs sometimes with some people we talked about I think a couple weeks ago some of the Sammy Hagar lyrics with Van Halen. Sometimes the lyrics just kind of ruin a song for me. This kind of song, it's a I don't know. It's like out of the 40s or 50s, I would think like, you know,
Yeah.
those the great songwriters, they wrote some real bad songs. Even the great guys like Cole Porter and Irving Berlin, they would use some really weird, sometimes crazy titles. So that's what this falls into me. It's not the worst song on the album for me. It's not going to be off the album, but again, it's not a particularly favorite for me.
Okay. Nico.
You ready?
Yeah.
We haven't talked.
No.
We don't know. I dig this song.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like Sammy Davis. You dig. I dig.
You'll hear me. You'll hear me when I say this. For me, it's the strongest song on the album.
Wow.
Okay.
That being said, I think it's kind of fire. I also think it could suck, and I did write down kind of fire, but also could suck. I'm not sure.
Mm.
When I saw the name of the song, I was almost going to skip it because I said there's no way a song named this. It's like The Walls of Jericho for Bon Jovi, which Rob has helped me not judge songs by names because that song actually was not that bad.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. This song, I will agree with something that you both said. I think vocally the whole album is pretty interesting, and I am pretty impressed by what he does. I didn't know he had some of it in him, but this song I think is kind of fire. Might be crappy. I don't know. But the reason why I'm saying that is the first time it's like you said, Dale. It starts off bad, and then by the end of it, I'm like, okay. Second run through, I was having like kind of a fun time with it. But then I like just try to like sing the chorus to myself, and it sounds awful, just like the words, like the sugar that pop. Like I don't love that, but I think this is the best song on the album.
Interesting.
Interesting. I can respect that because
Thank you.
I'll say this is probably my second favorite song off the album. It's up there. I've always kind of dug it. So this is the part of the show. It's the 70s. You got to take the record off and we got to flip it over. And if I still
Flip
have my
it.
little video thing, it's going to appear right here. So now we're on to side 2. It's an easy thing. Now we have said this before on the podcast where we're living in the day and age now of CDs and Spotify and iTunes where songs just run together and we're shuffling or whatever. And it's, if you listen to an album straight through, this doesn't seem that jarring. Flipping it over and starting the second song, you're like, all right, or the second side, I'm ready to kick this album off. And it's just an easy thing. You're like, wow, this is how we're starting side 2 of the album off. Now, saying that, I do enjoy this song, but if I wasn't that excited about it, it's kind of I wanted something a little more peppier for side 2, and it ain't that. So, Nick.
So I'm having a brain cramp. Is this the song that gets a little harder at the end? Or is that something picks up?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the one,
this
Right?
is
Yes,
it.
yes,
This is the
yes.
one.
Yeah, it just kind of crescendos. Yes.
And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it kind of, so as I was mowing the lawn again today and listening to the song, that saves this song for me. Lyrically, it's very simple. Losing love is an easy thing. Finding love is hard. It's not too bad. It's kind of going nowhere. Again, Peter's vocals are pretty good. Not finding a lot of melody, but then all of a sudden, it does that weird thing where it gets a little louder. He starts crooning and singing a little bit with a little more force. And I think the end part of this song saves the song. Having said that, it's not memorable. It's not anything that I would probably come back to, but it's not the worst. It's okay. It's okay.
I get kind of a Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons
Yeah,
vibe
sure.
towards the tail end where they would kind
Yes.
of build a song up.
Yeah, and it's like there's some, and again, Rob, you said something before too, how the production on the album is pretty good. It does sound crisp. It doesn't sound like hollow or muffled or anything. You can hear the instruments, you can hear everything. The only thing we talk about is the drumming is not very pronounced. It's a very laid back album, in my opinion. You're a drummer, but I don't hear a lot of fills or much going on with this album. It's pretty
basic. Yeah.
Very basic album. Like there's there's nothing like where you're like, oh, the drum part. There's little parts here and there, but
I would have loved to have heard it do like we've seen him since he's retired doing Sing, Sing, Sing. That would have been a great cover to have appeared on this.
Yes,
to hear him actually like you're the drummer in the band, play some damn
What else
drums.
would have been cool? I'm going way off here. What if he covered like "Fly Me to the Moon" by Sinatra? I mean, like
something
like that would have been, like I think.
And he's a huge Sinatra fan. Huge.
Right. So here we can only talk about what we have. This song gets saved for me by a strong ending. And it makes me appreciate kind of the arrangement and the fact that there was thought with a lot of these things. We talked about before, maybe Gene overthought some stuff, maybe. So I do think Peter was trying here, obviously. It wasn't just thrown together. Because sometimes when you're listening to this album, you kind of can go that way and think, was this, some of it sounds like it was just thrown in there,
Yeah. Nico.
I'm a sucker for songs like this.
Really?
The way my dad described the ones that start this way. The one that starts like this and it gets louder, it gets more passionate, it gets harder. Now let's calm down. I said I like it. That the scale for this album is not like the song ain't getting listened to again after today. That's all I'm gonna say. But I am a sucker for this type of song.
Okay.
And as it kept going, it's one of those dads, just like you said, I not to sound like a broken record for a third time, but starts off, you're like, all right. And then I'm like, okay. Okay, well, it ends like a power ballad. I'm like, okay. And that's the long and short of it. I have nothing more. I have nothing more to say after that, other than it started off almost being like, and then it wasn't.
There you go.
Number 7, if I haven't said, Delaney and or Peter and uh, Stan write all these songs unless I say otherwise. Unlike this one, Sean Delaney writes this one solely. Rock Me Baby. I like the groove of this one. This kind of seems like something the Big Bopper might try and do. It's in that 50s, 60s rockabilly almost kind of thing. It's okay. I don't have anything exuberant to say about it. I enjoyed the song and it was over and I moved on to the next one. Nick.
I can't add much to it. It's some of these titles too now are getting to be like
It says rock me,
very
baby. It's
funny.
gotta be
very elementary, Nico. You know what I'm saying? Like very like the titles are not too creative now, what we got coming up, I would have thought that they maybe possibly this could have been a song that they could have played or could have been his track. It's kind of simple. There's really not much to it, but yeah, by this point in this album, this doesn't save it. At this point, I'm going like, what do we got? We got 3 songs left, and that's where I'm at right now. So I'm kind of getting to this will there. I'll give this to you in context. I always tell Nico the worst thing when you're watching a movie and you're at the show is when you look at your watch. Because right, Nick?
yeah.
Because that means you're trying to figure out when the frick is this movie going to end, and I'm already looking to go take a little leak in the bathroom, get in the car, and start heading home. So I'm kind of at that point with this song, and maybe I'm not doing it justice, but justice I don't need to do it. So
If average had its own average range, like this experience listening to this song was like, it's the only way I can describe it is like, this is the ultimate 5 out of 10. Like it's so mid. It's like if you can be like the how do I put it more beautifully than that without sounding ignorant? If okay, let's say we're all sports fans, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know Jeff Fisher, the coach?
Yes.
He's famous for going 7-9, right? When there were still 16 games in an NFL
Yeah,
season,
right.
until they ruined it, and now there's this song is the Jeff Fisher of the album. It's so
I don't even know if anybody knows.
It's so impressive. And if you don't know that analogy, let me give you one more. Like when I think about the continental United States of America, no disrespect, I think of states that are like feel more prominent than the others. This is like,
you're going to get people pissed off from states.
yeah. You know what? Let me stop myself there. You know what? You're right.
Forget about
You're
it.
right.
Come on, man.
That being said, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, this is the Jeff Fisher, the 7-9.
That's a good call. A guy that had a job forever, just being mediocre.
For just being mediocre.
You know who else was like that was the guy in Cincinnati Bengals too.
Right.
Marvin, what was the coach?
Marvin Lewis.
Oh my God!
Yes,
Marvin Lewis. That guy, remember that?
Lewis.
My father-in-law would say the same thing. He's like, "Well, at least we're not Cleveland."
Yeah, I mean, who did he have pictures of that guy? I mean, they never remember Nick all the years they were supposed to win, and they were just mediocre all the time.
Yeah.
What's your guy Chad Ochocinco?
I was trying to think of a restaurant analogy.
No.
But that's more subjective. I get it.
Yeah, we get it. All right, Robbie, we're down to 8 right now. We're getting towards the end because this is
I just need vaccinated with the Victrola needle, and I'm hooked on rock and roll. I like this one. I don't know if it's the nostalgia that he throws in the Victrola needle for the record player. Like, oh, I get what you're saying. I need to be vaccinated by listening to rock and roll, and it has that again, rockabilly sensibility to it, where he. I'm not saying it. This is not one of the worst songs. I actually like it, and it might appear on my 3 that I picked from this album. I dig it for the groove factor, and I'm using like Nico. Let's calm down a bit. It's not the grooviest song in the world, but I dig this song. So that's what I'm gonna say for that. The Slam covered "Hooked on Rock and Roll" on their Hit It album. I don't know who the Slam is, but there you go. Nick.
This is what Kiss the Girl?
Oh crap. So I'll cut and splice that. Let's
It's
go.
okay.
Let's go back. 3, 2, 1. Kiss the Girl goodbye. I felt like he could have kissed her a lot faster and got into his car and played "Don't You Let Me Down." And have a romantic feeling.
So this song comes on and I'm like, all right, I can't like stop it. I gotta listen to it for the podcast. I have to do the homework here. I've got to do it. So now I got to listen to it. I got to listen to it again just to make sure. And the best thing I could say is that I will never listen to it again.
I'm even sad that I kissed her. Nico.
Nico's like, I love it.
He's gonna love it. This is where I'm calling shenanigans. He's always saying that you and I are doing a bit for
Listen.
I
admire. I'm actually flattered that you would think, just for the content of this show, that I would pretend.
He's a content creator. I know it.
No, this song is. Ass. And you want to know why I held that one so long? Now, I am someone who stutters, but that's not what was happening. I just want to put that out there. You want to know why I held that so long?
Why?
Because this song was too goddamn long. It wouldn't end. I was waiting. I looked down at one point. I'm like, all right, this song must be over. And I still had 2 minutes left. How long is this song?
It's 2 minutes and 46 seconds.
2 minutes and 40 seconds. So that was 47 seconds. At 47 seconds in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. No, this song is ass.
Life is short.
Cheeks, man. Cheeks. Dude.
Now we can get into the
cheeks.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
I'll splice my thing, and so I'll just kick it to you in 3, 2, 1. Hooked on Rock and Roll, Nick.
I mean, we get the up tempo. We get it's so obvious now what's going on, right? By this time I'm like, all right, we're gonna get an up tempo song, and then it's gonna close on a little ballad. It's okay. The song. I mean, again, it's the chorus is kind of good. Again, I like Pete's voice. I like it even on some of the bad songs. It's kind of what redeems just about anything on this album for me. But again, it's not something that I'm ever going to play again. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Nico.
Nick, are you hooked on it?
To me, this song is like reality television. It has spurts of entertainment in the moment, but it's utterly useless. Not good for society. No, I'm kidding. I just didn't want to recycle the same take as Rock Me Baby. It's really great at being fine.
You could almost interchange it with Rock Me Baby.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like they feel
it's almost like and the titles are almost like you almost seem like I just heard the song, right? You're like I think I heard this like 3 songs earlier, and you're like, or did I skip? Did it shuffle?
This is like a TV show that you're binging on Netflix, and you're looking at your wife or your girlfriend and going, "Didn't we already watch this episode?" No. That's what the other guy. Yeah, but I know. But he's in this episode. It takes you halfway through to go, oh, yeah, I guess we haven't.
Right. And the plot's not moving.
No,
right?
it's not.
The plot's the same for like three.
What are we
just
doing
not
here?
Moving. You're like, where are we going here? What are we doing here? We're waiting for the crescendo. We're waiting for something. And it's like, we've been watching 5 episodes now and nothing's happening.
This song is like the first half of season 9 of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it is just like manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's passing, and if you're familiar with the, and I think in my opinion, my dad's opinion, I'm not sure Rob's opinion, but like the Walking Dead definitely fell off. Not the comic book's masterpiece. The show fell off, and like that was a really that I remember because we were watching it. The first half of season 9, people were like, "Oh, are we back? Like, are we actually back? Like, I think we're back."
Yeah.
Or maybe that was the first half of season 10. The one with the guy, I don't even remember his name. Dad, who is the doctor? He was married to Rosita.
Oh,
and I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Something happens to him. He was like the most interesting guy for like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot, but whatever.
But like you could see him, right?
Yes.
Right.
Whatever
the
that
Fu Manchu.
Yes, that season.
Yes.
That's the one. I don't know if that's the first half of 9 or first half of 10.
Yeah. Well, this is New York. Yo, I can't stop the rain. This is my favorite song off the album.
Shit.
I have always liked this song. This has been, I'm going to get crucified for this. I have put this on a Kiss playlist before. This one and You Matter to Me were the two that I was like, oh, I want to put something on there. If Peter was, to me, and I'm probably going to get told no for this, playing a song from the solo album, the one that would be like, this is typically what you do. You're going to be on the bar stool. You're not going to do Beth this tour. You're going to do this song. It doesn't require Gene, Paul, and Ace to do anything. Peter takes a spotlight. He sits it. They run the tape in the background. He does I Can't Stop the Rain. Whether you guys like that choice or not, I think we should probably just change the channel. Have we already seen this episode, Nick?
I think if he played this in concert, you know what a trough is? The troughs.
Yeah.
At Wrigley, I think the troughs are overflowing, Nick. The troughs are overflowing. Listen, here's the deal. I know in Kiss lore, this is kind of a favorite, right, Rob? Kind of a little bit.
Kind of a little bit, yeah.
And I know he's played this live a lot, right? Like when he does play his live shows.
Yeah.
So for me, like I want to like this song. Like I've heard about it. I listened to it in the past, and it's just for me, it was like watching a show or a movie that I remembered it being a lot better, and it's not. So I can't fake it here because I want to like. I Can't Stop. It's a great title. You know the other song, I Can't Stop the Rain. You know the great song was like a classic song. I forgot who sang that song. I know Tina Turner covered it, but this to me is I'll just borrow your thing. As far as what it's going for and a slow tempo thing, it's just very average for me. And when I saw it, the title, and I remembered, and I'm on KissFac, and I'm on forums, and all Peter did, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. Finally, I'm at the end of the album, and it's like, it just didn't taste as good as I remember it.
Nico.
I need you to know, I have so much love for Rob. He has done so much for me and my dad. When he said this was his favorite song on the album, my soul left my body because I am so happy that you do. And I mean that. I love your taste, and I always have. But this might be the only time
that I
ever had even a 0.01% of anger towards this podcast, because now I'm going to look like a jerk. Rob just set me up, because when I say I thought the song was ass, I'm going to look like Tool now. So you know what?
I am triggered.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say this is the best song on the album too. Just because I wanna have the same take as Rob on this one.
But
And I
you
don't
have
want to be a Tool.
if it's opposite day, you have the same take as me, right? If it's opposite day,
That's true.
Okay,
That's true. That's true.
it's
That's
the
true.
best worst song on the album. Okay, I understand.
It's the best version of what the worst song on this album could have been.
It's like Robin Hood Men in Tights when the king says, "Why don't you tell me the bad news in a good way?"
Yes. Yes. And I think it's just because by this song I was needing it to end.
I need the bleeding to stop, sir.
And
if there were more songs on this album, it would be really, really bad. It would have been.
Let me tell you where this album left me. I
Sugar
had the urge to go back and listen to Jeans
Really?
because I wanted to be like, which one do I actually think is worse? But Gene has Radioactive.
Mhm.
That's what I come back to.
I feel like all of the albums, well, the other three, have that song where you go,
Yes,
oh, there's a
yes.
song on there where like, even like Radioactive, like, oh man, that song is fire. Then we're kind of like, but every of the other three has that song. This is one where you just kind of go, I like that one's okay. So let's just not belabor this anymore. We've all had our fill, our whopping. This is the shortest album, by the way, 34 minutes and 39 seconds. So let's pick our three. We'll get the three out of the way, and then we'll do our yay or nay. So to port them over for our eventual total 9 of everything, what are going to be the three? I'll go first since I kind of sprung this on you. I forgot to say that part. So my first one is going to be I'm Gonna Love You. I'm gonna put an R there. That's the Sugar Papa likes, and I picked the best worst song. I can't stop the rain. I chose that one. So those are my three that we'll take for the end. Nick,
I'm Gonna Love You.
Okay.
You Matter to Me. And I'm going to go with Easy Thing because I love the way it ends. I like that little slow ballad song that kind of reaches that crescendo. And those are my three, man. If somebody came to me and said you can only pick three and you have to listen to these three, those are them.
Okay. Nico.
Can I do the Sugar Papa song? Wait, what's it called? The Sugar Papa song?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it, Sugar Papa. Could I do that 3 times?
No.
Okay, no. All right. I'm Gonna Love You. That's the kind of Sugar Papa likes when you say that whole song name. God, it gives me hives, but it's kind of fire. And then oh well. Let's let's do Easy Thing. Let's do Easy Thing.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we got some repeaters,
because
right?
I said, what did I say the Jeff Fisher thing was for Rock Me Baby? Yeah, no, an Easy Thing. I told you I'm a sucker for that kind of song.
Right.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
It's in stone now. You can't change it. That's it.
That's right.
That's very okay with me.
So let it be done.
So let it be as it was written. Listen, El Gaib, Stone in Love, as written. God bless America.
I think I called the 9 and asked it to come over. I don't know if it's going to. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Welcome to the 9. You may only choose 9 songs to move forward. No more, no less. The 9 is here.
1. Okay, the 9 did show up. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do our fun game of yay or nay. And We have to pick 9.
Can we abstain, or does that not
No.
does that not work in this
That-
court?
That
Does
doesn't
that
work.
not work in this place? No,
Only one
I'm
gets
kidding.
thrown out.
No, I could do that. I could do this. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to talk to yourself like I can do this. It's one time. Okay. I'm gonna love you. Yay or nay?
Yay.
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 You matter to me.
Yay.
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 Tossin and Turnin.
Yay.
Nay.
Yay.
Oh, okay. Don't you
We've
let
all
me-
said yay so far.
Yeah, so far, yeah.
No. This was a nay for me.
Oh,
Rob's nay.
I'm
Okay.
out.
I nay.
Okay.
I nay.
Rob's locked in here.
Okay.
I'm locked in. Don't you let me down.
Yay.
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 That's the sugar. Yay.
Yay.
Easy thing.
Yay.
Yay.
Hooray. Yes. Yay.
Rock me, baby.
Yay.
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 Kiss the girl.
Nay.
Yay. Oh, that's your nay.
Ass. So nay.
All right.
I actually thought that was going to be all three of us. So the tossing and turning was a curveball that I respect.
Yeah. My right up until we started recording, I crossed out tossing and turning and put easy thing back on.
There you go.
So then hooked on rock and roll and I can't stop the rain. Get the
Yeah,
average yay.
The yay.
There we go.
The lesser of evils, yays.
All things being equal, they are not equal. So as Rob's trying to minimize his screen because it's not wanting to. There we go. Okay, so rounding out, we didn't talk about the album cover. So we're going to rank the album. I don't want to use rank because that's what Shout Out Loud does. So we're going to make our Kiss list here. So I'll read off Nick's album covers from 1 to 8. We've done 8 of these, so this will be our 9th. We have Nick, you have Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Kiss, Hot in the Shade, Revenge, and Crazy Nights. So the wonderful green Catman, where are you putting this?
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, because I love my Catman. He's beautiful to me. I have to put him ahead of Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley.
Okay.
What are you looking at?
What?
Yeah, dude. I like the Catman. You know that.
So this is just the
We
cover.
just destroyed this album.
This is
It's
just
covered.
this is
Oh, the
just
cover.
It's just the cover.
Oh,
Just the
now,
cover.
come on now. Come on.
My fault. Holy
No,
hell.
no.
My fault, man. I thought we
No.
were ranking them by
No.
quality.
Yeah, no, this
I
is
was about to be like, now that was just
No.
content. You know, I'm the Catman, so my principal, his album goes third. I see.
yeah, so this is
I see.
all right,
Nico, where's he at?
Nico. So for your album, your favorite album cover.
Yes, I apologize, but keep this in because people will think it's funny.
Yeah.
Keep it in.
So yours top to bottom are Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Kiss, Revenge, Hot in the Shade, and Crazy Nights. So where in the list are you gonna put this?
I put Hot in the Shade way too low, I think. In
Yours
retrospect.
was 7.
Uh,
You can make a
Um,
change.
I'll put this behind. I'm gonna put it behind Gene.
So you
Gene?
got it 6. What is that? 4th or 5th?
Behind
Fifth.
Gene, this will be 5th.
5th. Okay.
Because it's the classic look.
Yeah.
The cover's pretty dope. It's pretty tight. It's pretty hard.
Yep.
The album is, not those things, but the cover is, and we're ranking the cover.
That's right. My covers would be Hot in the Shade, Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Ace, Gene, Crazy Nights, Revenge, and Kiss. I'm going to put this, I'm going to go 5th too, right behind Ace and in between Gene. I just really like the green. I think
Me too.
even just the shadowing on his cheek there, I think looks really good. So, all right. So now for the quality section of our
My fault.
podcast.
My fault. My fault. My fault.
So this one might be a little harder. Nick, your favorite albums up to this point. Number one being Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Kiss, Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Revenge, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons.
Yeah, this has to be last. I mean, there's no way to spin it any other way. It's not there. There's no way that that any of those albums that are ahead of this are not much more enjoyable in their entirety, much more for me to listen to than this. This is a bottom. I don't know that it'll be a bottom for depending how far we go. There could be something, but I got news. I don't know. This is gonna be a tough one. This guy's gonna be
Tough one to beat. It's a tough one to beat.
Get out of the cellar.
Now, while we're podcasting, I'm usually making notes of all of our rankings, and I'll go change so I can slide things around. I've already pre-filled these columns. I'm guessing where we're all going to rank this. So, Nico, your album ranking so far, or your list, I keep saying ranking, is Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Kiss, Crazy Nights, Revenge, Hot in the Shade, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss.
You know you can't say last without what?
Ass.
Ass. Yeah, dude, it's last. I'm sorry, Peter.
And I'll just read mine from top to bottom. Revenge, Hot in the Shade, Crazy Nights, Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Kiss, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss.
Is there so you both are more well-versed in the holistic catalog. Is there just an album that comes to mind that you think could rival this in terms of the doo-doo meter?
I don't think
so.
Depending on what side,
well, that makes
of
me
the
feel
fence
fantastic about the future of the show.
Depending on what side of the fence that you view the elder, I could see where some people may put. But
there's already 2 or 3 songs on the elder that are better than anything on this album. So
that's very true.
Know, Rob, when I really haven't listened to it for so long that I did not go into this predisposed thinking it. Same. I thought it was better.
I did too.
I'm honest with you. I like it. I told you, it's like watching an old show. I thought it was better than what it turned out to be.
I was excited for it too, even though I was told it wasn't the best of them.
I told you it wasn't the best, but
I thought it would sound a lot different. So I'm pretty, but at the end of the day though, God bless, he went for something.
Yeah.
And if you are a listener of this show and love this album, we love you. Please still love us and me.
I do have one more thing that we haven't done. I know we got things.
Yeah.
For our RBTE playlist, we're all going to pick a song from this album. We could all have 3 individual songs. We could all have the same song. I'll go first. I'm going to choose You Matter to Me as the song I'm going to pick to put on here. That's 2 for You Matter to Me. Nico, do you have this?
You both pick
what you want.
You both pick You Matter to Me?
Yeah. Because off of the Kiss album, we all unanimously had picked Black Diamond. There's no other song from that album.
Right.
No, mine is I don't have the full name in front of me. Sugar.
Oh, right.
Sugar Papa song.
That's all right. That's
yeah, no, that would be mine because it was my favorite of this 10.
Okay. I know we were already kind of heading there, but just final thoughts before we wrap this Dog and Pony show.
When you look back on this, I give credit to Peter, but when you and I know Paul wrote Hard Luck Woman, Beth, but I mean Baby Driver, Mainline, I don't know. I just feel like the album is so repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I don't know that there was more in him or that he could have put 3 or 4 more rockers on there or even better ballads, right? The ballads aren't even that good.
I've always
it's disappointing to me. And I could see the other guys when they're, they're looking back and they look on it. And again, it's one thing to commend somebody for being true to their self and all that, but it's a flat album. It's just not good. It's not a good album. I didn't listen to his next album, Rob, and let's not surprise anybody or whatever, because I want to go into that one with open eyes and open ears. But yeah, Peter, I mean, it was I don't know, bits and pieces of it, but fragments of it are good. But overall, it's really a pretty bad album.
I know we said it kind of sort of about Jeans, and I was going to save this till when we do all four.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll say it again. But I feel like two of the guys got the assignment right. One of them kind of did the assignment, and the other one completely just copied a test off of somewhere else. I'm referring to Peter, but he also got the assignment right. He made a solo album outside of Kiss. The one thing that if I was in management or if I was in Paul Jean, go do a solo album of songs that you would have written and performed as a member of Kiss, and we're not going to remove your songs, but that needs to sound like a Kiss album if all the songs were sung by Peter Criss. They were all sung by Gene Simmons. You would have had those atypical archetype things because the album cover is showing you this is a member of Kiss.
And that's the problem with this album.
Yes. You are being sold one product and receiving another. If this was Peter Criss's, I'm trying to remember, I think it's called Let Me Rock You. It's got a side profile of his face and he's got a beard. Spoiler alert, that album kind of sounds like this. And you go,
you brought up Barry Manilow, but Barry Manilow is way better than this album.
Yeah. I would listen to Barry Manilow all day, every day.
There's not one song on here that could even make Barry Manilow's worst album, whether you like him or not. Seriously.
And I know Zeus
to me might be like possibly like a last track on an album,
Y'all are giving that song a lot of credit on the back half of this show. It's making my blood boil every time. No, I'm just kidding.
Final thoughts as someone that really had no idea of this album. I mean,
I am I am pretty shocked because I didn't think I would dislike it this much, and I almost do feel bad. And Rob, I'm genuinely saying, like, it did hurt me for I Can't Stop the Rain. Like, it really did hurt me. I know we're all cool and everything. Ben,
I'll cry myself to sleep.
We respect it. We'll see. Well, now that's on my conscience. But you know what? It can't rain every day. Shout out to The Crow.
The Crow, thank you. Very good.
I didn't see the remake of that, by the way. I was scared away. Anyway, my last thought on it is it's interesting that I've gotten to be like you both have gotten to look back on things with hindsight. I've gotten to look back at things through like a completely objective lens. Mm-hmm. And I know the story and the history around why these exist. What I don't know is I would have loved to know how difficult their representation was, because I am stunned for the point you just made, Rob, that they packaged these as the four members of Kiss. Mm-hmm. Because what this guy does, if the makeup's not on the cover, I think it most likely gets received, I don't know, well, or we feel better about it. This is Peter's passion project. Like, what they could have done, right? But they were so committed to being in the makeup still. Like, I would have done the front cover is him in makeup. The other side is him without the makeup. The first 5 songs are more Kiss. And then when you flip it over, they are the more experimental ones. Maybe that was too much for them at the time, or man, why they felt how they thought they could. And I know there's some ego. There was desire. I understand. But to listen to like Alive 2 and then see that these things came out. I mean, I can only imagine what some fans felt when they put, I mean, all of them, even though I think Paul's is pretty good, all things considered. But man, I cannot believe in
Well, the only thing
retrospect
I ever listened to was you
that they
asked
put
me
these
when I
out.
got the album. Yeah.
Sure.
In hindsight, as someone who was there when it came out, let me just say that the albums came out. I played all four of them very little, like hardly at all. And really, the only thing I gravitated to a lot was Radioactive, New York Groove. I don't
Move
want
on.
I don't want to give the Paul thing away, but Paul's got more play
Mhm.
than anybody's, and we'll get to that. But Peters was very as whatever I was at that time, 13 years old or whatever. And at that time, I was starting to blossom to other music. And even then, I was like, yeah, this album sucks. This isn't good. You Matter to Me was a soft spot for me, but everything else, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably played that album and I got rid of it. I bet that album was so clean that the needle hit it a couple times, and that was about it, man.
The cover on this one is beat up, but the pristine value of the vinyl is like it was never played.
Yeah.
And let me
Which one sold the most? It was Aces, right?
yes, but they're
right?
all certified platinum.
Yeah.
So they all sold well, but you
Yeah.
said I think Aces
There
sold.
were a lot of returns though, too, though. That.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
They overbought.
I was just looking at yeah, it's at least as for what I'm seeing, they're all just showing as platinum and they're not showing the sales. I'm sure I could go somewhere and look it up, but just for this. And Peters performed the least. Aces peaked at 26. Peters peaked at 43 in the US. Sorry for this. Jeans peaked at 22.
Hmm.
And Paul Stanley comes in at 40.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, boys, I've told you how much you matter to me. The sugar is out, and I think it may rain soon. So I can't stop it, but we do have to stop the show. So, boys, tell us where people can find you. What do you have going on, and what are the vigilantes up to lately?
You could find me at N Caruso Jr. on the old X. And you can always follow our other podcast, the Vigilante 1939, that we do with the third Nick of the group, Nick Zednick, where we cover all things DC Comics, the MCU, Star Wars. We've got the Penguin show coming up. We
Nice.
just reviewed Deadpool. A lot of fun stuff coming up in that genre.
Nico, sir.
You can follow me everywhere at Nico Caruso, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, at Nico Knows Film on TikTok for film stuff. I do reviews. I'm part of the Chicago Indie Critics. And yeah, follow the Vigilante 1939. For the next 3 months, you'll see me return to the Italian Spider-Man Coalition. That's at Italians for Spidey, talking about a comic book anthology series, Spider-Man, Black Suit and Blood. It's an anthology series when he's in the symbiote costume, which is my favorite thing. And there's going to be an appearance on the Comic Binge for a Spider-Man console. So if you're into Spider-Man, follow me and you'll see some cool Spidey stuff soon.
Cool. And you can follow me at Drummer Rob 10. And my new podcast is up and running at Rogue Record Music on YouTube. And I think by the time that this shows up, it will be on YouTube. And I'm going to start porting in RBTE. And I'm sorry I haven't done this before, but in our feeds, you will start seeing, I will be retweeting Vigilante and try and get a nice community between all of our shows. Not because I'm doing mine and I want to do it. I should have been doing this the whole time. And I'll be recording with Brant and Terrence O'Neill, who I did Robin Everyone Loves the Drake. He and I have not podcasted for almost 3 years.
That's cool.
Now, if you can believe
the
that.
return.
The return. So I'm eager to do that, and I'm going to spoil it here. We're going to be looking at Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. So all the 9 and all of that will ensue, very much like we're doing on this. So that is coming up, and I'm recording with those two guys Saturday before our trip. So be on the look for that very soon.
Heck yeah.
So, on the behalf of Nick and Nico Caruso, I'm Rob Myers. You've been watching and listening to Right Between the Eyes. 3 podcasters who are driving alone in the city, and we've been tossing and turning, and we're all friggin' out of sugar. We'll see you on next episode. Take care. Bye.